We're good. Hey, shalom, shalom, akiyam. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Chodash. I would also like to give a double honors to the beloved elders and apostles of Great Millstone, where I learned this 144% truth. I would also like to say peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, starting with the 144,000 men of Israel, which consists of the servants, the prophets, whom have been ordained since the foundations of this earth to sing this new song, which comes in the form of this gospel, which will be preached throughout all four corners of this earth and rest upon the ears of the innumerable multitude, men, women, and children of Israel, who may be scattered throughout all four corners of this earth. Shalom. Hey, shalom, beloved Akiyam and Akwaf. It's just Bayan back again through the spirit, power, mercy, and grace of our power, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, and I just want to speak on the current damnable heresy coming out of the Genesis crew. We got I got a video I want to share with you, beloved Akiyam and Akwaf, from the elder Apostle Tahar, regarding the false doctrine that they're teaching regarding, the heathen being able to be blessed in the kingdom, right? Or them being able to receive salvation in the sense of, taking part of the glory, the covenant, the sovereignty. You see? And we can simply go to Romans 9 and knock this whole conversation out the ballpark. But needless to say, all right, this is something that we're witnessing because men, all right, that have chose to take it upon themselves, right, to be heads of congregations, right, and separate themselves from the source, they once learned from. Now you see them being led, all right, on a path of destruction. These men are literally returning back to the vomit they came out of, because this is that's wacky tacky bugged out Christianity, bro. That's that supersessionism. That's that replacement theology. They're returning right back to it, and they think Zechariah 2 and 11, I believe it is, sets the tone, all right, for their standpoint regarding this rhetoric they're spewing. No, we're going to show you through the spirit that they got it all wrong. They err in the spirit. They're in complete error. But ultimately, if you ask me, they're bought and paid for. They sold out. And they're receiving, the dainties from Esau. And this is why they're driven. I'm speaking as a man. This is why they're driven to push these damnable heresies, man. Here it is. Vocab Malone has these niggas' numbers, man. Come on, man. Let's make it make sense. As I mentioned yesterday in the live stream I did, there's secret disciples for Vocab Malone secret disciples, bro, in the cut, right? That are putting off, that are playing it off and making themselves seem like they But here it is. They're doing reconnaissance missions, man. They're working for the enemy. You see, this is what's going down. Because why would Vocab Malone have your number when you know damn well he's a known 3-ledger agency agent? All right, he's a known scorner and scoffer. He's a known pest for Israel. Why would he have your number? Make that make sense. But anyways, through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, we're gonna make Zechariah 2, 10 and 11 make sense.
All right, because we're set in defense of the gospel. And this is what our job is to do. This is one of our major duties, is to prove, these damnable heresies wrong, man. And bring forth the true veracity of these dark sayings, proverbs, and allegorical speeches, bro. All right, see, the thing is, this is prophecy. All right, Zechariah 2. All right, that's prophecy, man. And this is why individuals that are not truly sent by the Lord are drowning. They're drowning, man. Because it's simple. When you stick to the fundamentals, when you stick to the basics, when you stick to the milk, you come to the conclusion is what? The Lord never changes, bro. Point blank, period. Malachi, let's open up with that real quick. Let's set the tone. All right, let's set the tone real quick. The book of Malachi, chapter 3. Right? In verse 6, and it reads, for I am the Lord Yahweh, it's capital. I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Okay? Because Jacob, which is Israel, is the chosen. All right? And there's an elect within the elect that will be preserved. And that will take part of the first resurrection. Okay? The first fruit, the elect, the innumerable multitude, they would take part in the first resurrection, even through death. Death won't separate them from that. All right, and and then ultimately the nation of Israel, as far as the 2/3, they're also going to be saved. It tells us that in Isaiah 45 and 17. All right, and it tells you that in Romans 11 and 28. Okay, because they're going to be born through the loins of the elect. Okay, of the elect nation, if that makes sense. But we know wisdom is too high for some. But you, Aki Aminakwa, are picking up what I'm putting down. All right, so here it is. Yahweh doesn't change. You have this narrative, all right, because Yahweh Shai came, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And now because he came, now supposedly, now because his people denied him, which they don't get that. They don't even know what that's going into. But his people denied him, right? And now all of it. But here it is. All the disciples, all the apostles were Israelites. But anyways, now all the nations can come into this thing, man. Now they can take part because who they call Jesus came. Let's show you something real quick. All right, so here it is. Malachi 3 tells us that what? Yahweh doesn't change. All right, how about Yahweh Shai? Let's go here. I believe it's Hebrews 13, if I'm not mistaken. We can search it up if I'm wrong. Let's see if Yahweh Shai changes as well. Yup, Kala Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. The book of Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 8, and it reads, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, the same yesterday and today and forever. So here it is. The Father doesn't change and the Son doesn't change. Now, when you go into the criteria of the scriptures, the nuts and bolts, all right, when we go to the humble beginnings, what was established through our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And these guys, like, they need to go back to the basics, bro. This is the milk. This is how you understand. When you read a scripture like Zechariah 2, 10, 11, and 12, if you're rooted and grounded in the milk, you can make it make sense. And then honestly, when you read up in the chapter, bro, we're gonna go there. But before we do, let's go back to the humble beginnings real quick. Let's go to the book of Genesis real quick. You see, these guys have lost sight. They're either sold out or they lost sight. If you ask me, they sold out. I believe through the Spirit they sold out. You know, but hey, we're in the time of so-called men that were once established in the faith leaking oil. This is leaking oil season. All right, and you don't want to be one of those guys leaking oil, you know? And you start leaking oil when you start lacking the ability to take wise counsel. Or you start giving counsel that's not wise. Okay? And you can't be corrected, you can't be reproved, you can't be told about yourself. You always got to get the one up. You know? You're not respecting the authority that's established amongst your body. You're not respecting the authority that was established amongst the congregation. You know? You see? Hey, that oil's leaking. Once you run out of oil, you know you out of there, bro. The engine's gonna seize up. The book of what was I gonna get? Genesis. Let's go back to the humble beginnings real quick. Genesis 35. Is this what I want here? Is this Genesis 35? Yeah, this is it. This is it. Genesis 35 and verse 10. Look, check this out. Now, outside of verse 9, check this out. And I'm going to read it verbatim, right? And God appeared unto Jacob again, right? When he came out of Padanaram and blessed him, right? And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said unto him, thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name. And he called his name Israel. Check this out real quick. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said unto him, I am power almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall be of thee. And kings shall come out of thy loins. All right, so the tribes are likened unto nations. All right, that's a buzzword that has to be understood. Because when you read Zechariah 2, that's what's leading them to believe, all right, that those nations are talking about the heathens. All right, showing you that their spiritual faculties are not all right. Okay, because again, as you go back in time, matter of fact, let's go further back in time. Because why is let me read a little more. Let me read a little bit more. And he in the land which I gave in the land that I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee will I give it, and thy seed after thee will I give the land. You see, it's all about a seed line. It's never that narrative never changed. It's all about a bloodline. All right, because when you go post flood, okay, that righteous seed line that could have been that came out of because you had Cain and Abel, right? Cain killed Abel, then Adam and Eve, they had Seth, right? And then they had Enos, which Seth goes into compensation. He was compensation for Abel's death. His name literally means compensation. And then they had Enos, and then we started calling on the name of the Lord. So that's pre-flood. When you go post-flood, right? Through Shem, Noah's son, you can track that's the righteous seed line, all right? All the way to Terah, which is Abraham's father, okay? This is why it's critically important to understand what happened in the days of old, all right? Because it's the foundation of now and where we're going, okay? The narrative never changed. Prophecy had to play out. Now, real quick, when you go back, I'm going to go back in time. Let's go to, because Abraham and Isaac are being mentioned. Why? Let's go to Genesis 17 real quick. All right, and this is post-flood. Right, Genesis 17, straight to the point. Verse 19, I'm going to go straight to the point. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. Now, mind you, the Lord put by Ishmael. Ishmael got put by. All right, which Ishmael was the older son. Right? But he got put by. Right? And who got chosen as a seed to be, where the covenant would be established in? And Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And if you can receive it, Isaac was Yahushai. Okay, that's why when you go to the book of Galatians real quick, I got to jump out of this real quick. When you go to the book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 16, it reads this. Now that Abraham and his seed, okay, were the promises made. He saith not to seeds as of many, but as of one, and thy seed, which is Mashiach. Okay? Again, we read in Hebrews 13, was it? That Mashiach doesn't change. He's the same, like his father. Okay? Yahushua came back for Israel, starting with the elect. All we got to do is pull Acts the 5th chapter, and I'll nail that point home. Acts 5, verses what? 29, 30, and 31, I believe. Okay? Romans 9 tells us why Yahushua came. You see? Come on, man. This narrative never changed. These guys are frauds, bro. These guys are sellouts. These guys are charlatans. These guys are false prophets. These guys are spots and our feast. Beautiful lesson by the elder Yashawama, by the way. I recommend you go watch that video. by the beloved Elder Yashawamba. Spots in our feast, man. That's exactly what these guys are. All right? Because, hey, come on, man. We're right now, we're building right now. We're building the case through the Spirit. And then you look at it for what it is, based off the precepts we pulled already through the Spirit. All right? There's no way Zechariah 2 can mean what they think it means. But we're going to go there, though. We're going to go there. All right? But what I want to do, I want to go back. Let's go back. Let's finish that in Genesis 17. Genesis 17. Let me read it again. In verse 19. And Yahweh Shai said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed. Salakia. And thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant. And with his seed after him, it's everlasting. Why do you think Israel is being woken up right now? Because we're in the time of salvation. Then the Lord tell us there will be a time when now is the time of salvation. What's that? Corinthians? Let me get that real quick. Bear with me, Yakiyam and Akwal. I believe that's 1 Corinthians. Is it the 5th chapter? Nah. Let me see something real quick. I can't remember where it's at. And I'm just flowing through the Spirit. 2 Corinthians 6:2. For he saith, I have heard thee in the time accepted, right? And in the day of salvation have I succored thee. We're in the time of salvation. That's why we're being secured through this truth. We're being comforted in our affliction because we're embarking on salvation now. Now it's the time. Salvation is drawing nigh. Now it's time. Okay, this is the 7th and final captivity prophecy said we will be in, bro. Okay, the feet and the toes, all right, of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed. You see that our beloved forefather Daniel was gifted through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai to be able to interpret. When you read Daniel's, what's that? Daniel, is that the Daniel set 2? Yeah, Daniel's the 2nd chapter. You see? Come on, man. All right, let's go. Let's go back. So now we're in a time of salvation. This is why these secrets are being revealed. Okay, this is why it's going down like the way it's going down, bro. Because we here. So the point I'm making, let's go back to Galatians. I'm sorry, to Genesis. And I'm not talking about them niggas, but we are talking about them niggas though. In the sense of correcting them. Because they're dead wrong. They just don't know it yet. Until they find out. All right, back in the book of Genesis 17, because I got to finish reading this. In verse 20, and as for Ishmael, I've heard thee, behold, I have blessed him. Right? Right, you got Dubai. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Anyways, behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. All right, but whatever. But needless to say, let's go to Zechariah real quick. Let's go to Zechariah. And when you go to Zechariah, right? When you read, I'm gonna start from verse 1. I'm gonna read it up and then we're gonna jump down, we're gonna jump around. Let's make it make sense through the Spirit. Zechariah 2 and verse 1, and it reads, I lifted up my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, whither goest thou? And he said unto me, to measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. All right, and what you're gonna find out is Noah. Why is it no other heathen being measured within Jerusalem? Because they're not gonna be part of the holy city. That's why when you go real quick, when you go to Revelations, chapter 11 and verse 1, it reads this. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, the heathen, the natural Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Which that links up with what? Luke 21 and 24. Okay, but now they're running out of time because there was only so much time they're going to be able to trot them down the land. Okay, so when we go back to Zechariah, okay, here it is. These niggas are not even within the measuring line. All right. Anyways, let's jump down. Now listen to this. Let's read it in context because we could jump straight to 10 and 11, but let's start at 8. All right, let's start at 8. And matter of fact, let's just go. Zechariah 2 and 8, and it reads, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, of armies." Here we go. He coming in the energy of militant and spirit. Watch this. So Lord of hosts, Lord of armies, right? "After the glory hath he set me unto the nations." Salakia. Let me read this again. Zechariah 2 and 8, and it reads, "For thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye." So here it is. The Lord's coming at the nations with a judgment. All right. "For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And ye shall know that the Lord Yahweh of hosts has sent me," man. Watch this. "Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord Yahweh. Wait. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord Yahweh in that day." We just read in Genesis 35, all right, that the tribes can be likened unto nations, bro. It also tells you that, I believe it's Second Ezra, the 3rd chapter. Come on, man. Or is it Sirach 3? It's one of the two. Matter of fact, let's go get it real quick to make sure. I think it's Second Ezra's. Yeah, it is Second Ezra's. And check this out. The book of Second Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 4. I'll stop from verse 4. And it reads this: "O Lord, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people, and gave us a body unto Adam without soul." Which is talking to what? This is before he breathed the Spirit into him, the Holy Spirit. Right? The Spirit of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. "Which was the workmanship of thy hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life." He was made living before thee, right? "And thou," right, because before that he was in the congregation of the dead, right? "And thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed," right? And we know how that played out, right? Eve was beguiled by the serpent. She agreed with the philosophies and the rhetoric that he told her. She brought it back to Adam, and he agreed. He rolled with it. He adopted those philosophies, man. Okay. He was defiled, okay, by the philosophies of that serpent, which was a nation. All right, with the heathen, bro. With that same deceptive, all right, spirit is in Esau today, man. All right, that's why he's likened unto the serpent and not dragon. It tells you that in Revelations, man. The scriptures marry Esau in with that serpent, bro, because that same spirit's within him. All right, look it. "And unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointest death in him and his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number." Okay? Literally, bro. Come on, man. The Lord's only dealing with the nation of Israel. Let's get another one. Another one just hit me just now. Sirach 17, man. Let's get it. Let's go. Hey, we're set in defense of the gospel. We got to make it make sense. Because again, we're pulling all these precepts to prove that it's not talking about the nations as in the heathen, but they can't pull precept upon precept, line upon line, proving that it is talking about the heathen. They can't do that because it's not. Look at Zechariah 17, the book of Ecclesiasticus, Salakia, the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as the book of Sirach, chapter 17 and verse 17. And it reads this: for in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion, man. That breaks itself down. Let's read it again. Sirach 17 and 17. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion, bro. This is why it tells you in Psalms 33 and 12, it says this: blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord Yahweh, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance, man. You see, Israel, we're heirs to the promise, bro. No other nation. He's chosen Israel, bro. Matter of fact, let's get one more before we go back to Zechariah. The Spirit's moving. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 51. The Spirit's moving now. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 51 and verse 17. And it reads this: every man is brutish by his knowledge. Right? And these niggas became brutes, renegades, undesirables, leaky vessels. Vessels not meet for the master's use. All right? Vessels that are going to be destroyed soon enough. At least they repent. Right? Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. Here's the point. The portion of Jacob is not like them. Who's the portion of Jacob? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Let's prove it. For he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name. Okay? So let's go back to Zechariah, because we can keep going. There's a few more pieces that actually just came to the Spirit. But now let's go back to Zechariah. Let's go back to Zechariah, the 2nd chapter, and then let's read into it. Right? Verse 10 again. Sing and rejoice, Zechariah 2 and 10. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord Yahweh. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people. Did they not forget that we were scattered? And as a matter of fact, when you read up to verse 6, it tells us this. The Lord even mentions it in the same chapter. When we read up, when you go to Zechariah 2 and 6, it says this: ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heavens, saith the Lord Yahweh. We can break down Zechariah 10 and 11 within the same chapter, showing you how crazy and delusional and lacking the spirit these niggas are in. Okay? Victims of apostasy. Okay? Victims of apostasy. Let's go. Continuing on, Zechariah 2 and 11. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of thee. Okay? The Lord's only going to dwell in the midst of his people. We read it. Right? And thou shalt know that the Lord Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto thee, man. All right? And the Lord Yahweh shall inherit Judah, his portion, in the Holy Land. Right? Judah is the head tribe. Our Lord Yahweh Shai, the Mashiach, stems out of the tribe of Judah, pursuing the Hebrews 7. Right? And shall choose Jerusalem again, man. The holy city. Jerusalem is his favorite pit, as it tells us in Sirach. So this is the reality of the story. All right? And we see niggas returning back to the same vomit they came from. All right? Who knows what these niggas are being exposed to? You know, if they haven't sold out, these niggas just gone. They're falling off. They're falling to the wayside, bro. All right? Because this truth, man, if you ain't, this truth will bug you out. If you're not truly, You know, if you try to play with the Lord's word and, you know, you find yourself trying to, you know, work some type of work, you know, that's none of the Lord, you know, you have ulterior motives, this truth will bug you out. The Lord will get at you, bro. What the scripture say, give me any plague but the plague of the heart. Okay? And this is what will happen. The Lord will plague your heart. He'll bug you and trip you out. Okay? You'll be operating on a frequency that's not even of this world, man. You'll be out of there. But needless to say, hey, I'm not gonna force it. This is for the elect. The elect are gonna be able to receive the truth. Okay, they're gonna be able to see through the smoke. And they're gonna be able to understand prophecy. When you read this, oh, matter of fact, let's get it in the Good News Bible. Let's see what it says in the Good News Bible. Let's see what it says in the Good News Bible. The book of Zechariah. I'm just curious. The book of Zechariah chapter 2. The heading literally says before verse 6. We'll read from verse 6 down. It says, the exiles are called to come home. The only ones that were exiled were the Israelites, man. Starting with the northern kingdom. We were kicked out of the land first. And we went under the captivity of the Assyrians, man. Via Shalmaneser V. And then the southern kingdom went into captivity under the Babylonians, man, under Nebuchadnezzar II. We got evicted from the land because of our wickedness, man. No other nation were exiled, bro. The heading says this, the exiles are called to come home. Let's read this. The Lord Yahweh said to his people, this is Zechariah 2 and 6 in the Good News Bible. I'm going to read down to the point. The Lord Yahweh said to his people, I scattered you in all directions. And that was part of the curse pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And this is the milk. Let's go. But now you exiles, escape from Babylonia and return to Jerusalem. Anyone who strikes you, strikes what is most precious to me. So the Lord Yahweh Almighty sent me with this message for the nations that had plundered his people. The Lord Yahweh himself will fight against you, bro. And you will be plundered by the people who were once your servants. Jeremiah goes into all the nations going into captivity. The nations are going into captivity, bro. They got 1,000-year captivity they got to serve. And after that, they will be subjugated, all right, to pay tributary to Israel forever. And they're going to love it, though, because they're going to be living in a paradise. The earth is going to become a paradise, bro. Okay, it's going to regain its strength. It's going to be amazing, man, what righteousness is going to do to the earth. What righteous rulership is going to do when it's established. All right, so after that 1,000-year beatdown, all right, they're going to be in their right mind. They're going to go off from time to time, you know, because they're in the flesh, you know, but it will be very seldom, you know, that 1,000-year, you know, scripture says better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, you know, so the end of their captivity, you know, when we go in, you know, after that 1,000-year captivity, you know, it'll be peace. You know, the judgment will be executed when necessary based off violations. But it won't be, it's gonna, like, that 1,000 years is gonna be something else. You know what I mean? That's that, woof. You know? But Esau won't even be around after that 1,000-year situation. Just to throw that out there. Pursuing the biblical prophecy. Obadiah 1 and 18, and there's many others. You know? There's lessons out there on it. But anyways, see? So this is the energy that the Lord's coming at the heathen with. He said, nigga, you niggas gonna be plundered, bro. All right? Flatline. Put down. Look, how is he gonna go from that to you joining us? Think about that psychotic mindset. When you read it in this context, when you read up a little bit. The Lord went from using Zechariah to gun down the heathen in the sense of what you're gonna end up going through. The Lord's gonna visit you niggas because you put your hands on his people to Oh, but you know, and then you're gonna be joined unto them and this, that, and the third. You stupid ass niggas, man. But anyways, let's go. Let's continue on. When this happens, everyone will know that the Lord Yahweh Almighty sent me. The Lord Yahweh said, sing for joy, people of Jerusalem, Israelites, hello, right? I am coming to live among you. Hold up. At that time, many nations will come to the Lord Yahweh and become his people because we've been scattered. It tells us literally when you read up in this chapter. Verse 6. We've been scattered. That has to be established. When you read this, you can't read it and say, oh shit, so the heathen? What the heathen? No, it's talking about the nations of Israel, bro. This is really not that complicated, bro. Man, these niggas are out of there, bro. You know? Anyways, let's finish it up. He will live among you, and you will know that he has sent me to you. You, Israel, bro. Once again, Judah will be the special possession of the Lord Yahweh in his sacred land. And Jerusalem will be the city he loves most of all. So, I don't know, man. Like, through the Spirit, we got to do this because, hey, there's new listeners coming in. You know, and, you know, Salakia for the zeal, bro. Like, it's what we do. I mean, at the end of the day, I enjoy making the point through the Spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. I enjoy defending the gospel. All the brothers do. You know, and the Spirit takes hold of you, and it's just like how do they not see it? How do they not know, like, type of mindset? And it's frustrating, but it's enjoyable at the same time. You know what I mean? It really is. And this keeps the sword sharp as well. You know, it keeps the sword sharp coming up against these damnable heresies and continuously, you know, speaking against this rhetoric. You know, these niggas are not going to stop. You know, they're just one of many. You know, they're just one of many, but as usual, the truth is being declared. And the reality of Zechariah 2 is that those nations, all right, that are gonna come, and let me get it in when it says it in Zechariah 2 in the KJV. Those nations that should be joined unto the Lord in that day are the Israelites, man. We've been scattered throughout all four corners of the earth. You see? We've been scattered, and that's the reality. That's it. No heathen nation is going to be part of the sovereignty, the glory, the blessings of the second covenant. The second covenant is salvation. Don't you see? Salakia. A portion of that salvation is obviously being delivered from the destruction and being protected and secured in the chariots. All right, but the salvation in its perfection is the second covenant. That's why Isaiah 45:17 is written. Israel should be saved with an everlasting salvation, world without end. I'm going to leave you with that, beloved Aki Amenakwaf. Lord willing, you were edified. Lord willing, you were spiritually fed. Abaratazah, Lord willing, you were informed of the false prophets, wolves in sheep's clothing. Genesis is going off. Demon Hakah and his little henchman, Hassad, they're completely tripping. The Vocab Malone got their phone numbers. Them niggas are working for the enemy. All right? All right, and just hold tight, because judgment's coming. All these niggas that are acting crazy and lying on the Lord and taking and adding to the Bible, just waiting, just watch. Just watch, you know that, watch me do me? I forgot who wrote that song. Watch me do me. Watch me do me. Hey, watch the Lord do him. Watch the Lord do him. The Lord's about to judge it up. Remember, 1 Peter 4. This is going to go down. As we move closer and closer to getting out of here, you're going to start seeing the Lord reach out and touch Jake more and more. More and more. Pop, 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 pop. And it's going to happen close to home too. You know, because there's wicked niggas amongst us. You know, that operate under a wicked mindset. You know, they're not truly sincere. You know, all of it's going to be found out, bro. All of it's going to be found out. You know, because there's a lot of individuals, brothers around us that are not right. And the Lord's going to clip them. Woo! And that's the way it's going to go down. Lord willing, it ain't us. Abaratazah, Lord willing, it ain't us. That's why we need to operate through the counsel of the scriptures and not under our own counsel. The Bible gives us the counsel to operate under. You know? The counsel of the Lord, it shall stand. You know? The counsel, we have to give. It's not our job to try to, as far as know who's the elect, who's not the elect, this and that. We got to focus on the mission. Salakia, we got to focus on our mission, seek our own salvation with fear and trembling, and be sincere. Be sincere about this thing, man. You know, be sincere. If you're lacking faith, pray to the Lord for more faith. Fast as well. You know, if you're lacking understanding, pray to the Lord for more understanding. Fast on top of that as well. You know, whatever you're lacking, pray to the Lord for it, bro. You know, and fast on it. You know, fast and pray to the Lord to show you the light. You know, because if you're following niggas like these dudes, you're heading to the darkness. And it's going to hurt. Trust and believe. It's going to hurt. I'm going to leave you with that, beloved Aki Amenakwath. Again, you already know. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah, Chodash. Hey, double honors to the beloved elders and apostles of Great Millstone. All right, where I learned this 144% truth through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, peace and salutations to you, beloved Aki Amenakwath, that are tuning in, and I'll tune in later. Hey, may Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai be with you and your family. Hey, shalom, shalom.